are back right now with Charles Calomiris. He is a professor of finance at Columbia Business School. He is also a member of the Shadow Financial Regulatory Committee and the Financial Economist Roundtable. He is a research associate of the National Bureau of Economic Research. Charles, you've been really good to stay with us this whole time. Thanks so much. You mentioned earlier there's 3 points we need to keep in mind today while Geithner is on Capitol Hill. What are they? Bailout, was it necessary?
Was the bailout necessary? Should he have gotten a better deal on the haircuts for the counterparties? And the third issue, the one I think is going to dog him.
All right, so disclosure. We're going to come back to that, but looking at the second, I mean, did the Fed and the Treasury have more power and they just didn't use it?
Not really, because ultimately what they knew is that given that they wanted to avoid going to a bankruptcy proceeding, they had no legal way to force concessions from the counterparties, and the counterparties knew that in this game of chicken, the bureaucrat was going to blink.
All right. Now, you say Tim Geithner is probably not going to get hung on the fact, this question of was the bailout necessary or this issue of haircuts, but disclosure. And it reminds me, whether or not you think this is a crime, it feels white crime-ish, right? It's not so much what you did, it's what you did to cover it up. Is that what we're talking about here with Geithner?
I think so. The part that doesn't look very good is that he seems to be trying to hide what he did on the counterparties. He seems to try to remove himself from responsibility. Again, I don't think this is going to be a death blow to him. Won't force him to resign, but I think it's going to put a little bit of mud on him.
Interestingly enough, you say, and whether or not people are fans of Geithner, you say in 3 months' time, if he's still in this position, he's going to look better. Why is that?
I think so. Well, 2 things. First of all, the bailout of AIG and more generally the bailout of the banks, in contrast to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac bailout, in contrast to the auto unions bailout, those bailouts aren't going to cost the taxpayers any money, first. Secondly,
which is something that maybe people don't focus on, at least in the newspapers and sort of this populist surge, is that taxpayers haven't lost any money on the AIG bailout.
They'll probably make money on the whole banking plus AIG bailout experience. The second thing is, his position within the administration has been, the reason we're helping the banks is because we need to get credit going. That position is going to look a lot better 3 months from now because credit isn't flowing yet. And this populist backlash against the banks isn't helping.
The hearings, we should mention, may be costing, excuse me, taxpayer money, but the bailout didn't. So in reference to this populist idea here, out comes the Volcker rule, right? And this seems like the administration's answer to putting more pressure on the banking system. Do you think we're going to hear about it tonight in the State of the Union address?
Probably. I don't know. But again, I think it's very telling that Paul Volcker was there, not Tim Geithner. That is, I don't think this is a serious proposal. It's not a workable proposal. I think it's just plain politics. And obviously, it's the other side of the administration, not the sort of Geithner pragmatism, more the Volcker populism.
Charles, you know banking inside and out. I mean, we were discussing during a quick break here prop trading, the nature of prop trading. It's really hard to define in a modern banking system what is prop trading. It's not like there's just a guy sitting in a closet with a computer. I mean, this is essentially funding entire banking activities that needs to be there, right?
Prop trading is part of, in indirect ways, just about everything global banks have to do for their clients. They have to take positions, counterparties with their clients. They have to support, let's say, underwritings of municipal securities with some prop trading. You cannot get prop trading out of a well-functioning, client-serving global bank. And the biggest advocates for that position are going to be the clients of the banks themselves once they understand how ridiculous, really, this proposal is.
Then why, in your opinion, would the Obama administration put this forward? And especially from such a trusted person. I mean, Paul Volcker has an excellent reputation.
Well, it depends on who you talk to, of course, about anyone's reputation, but certainly for his monetary policy, not so much for his regulatory policy record, I would say. But I think it was a political ploy, and it's not a coincidence it happened the day after the Massachusetts senatorial election. I think it's disappointing. The administration had a bipartisan consensus on reform within reach, and it's turned its back on that, I think partly to play politics.
So you think essentially it's a shame what's happening right now?
I do. I think we really, in early December, we were really very close to a sensible bipartisan reform consensus, and the administration just decided politics is more important, and that's sad.